There we go. We'll get started right about now. Yo, yo, yo. Good morning. Salutations. Oh shit. Janejira's even working the fucking sound today.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's gonna be a good day. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning. It's Suit Man over here. Make some noise.
Yay.
I love doing that because there's nobody actually there, and Adam's just probably looking at me like, "There's fucking two of us, you schmuck." Welcome to Autastic Artists. We haven't done this in a while. And when I say we haven't done this in a while, I just meant beyond time when we've done one of these videos. Right? It seems like every time we've tried to have an episode lately, for whatever reason, something happens. But welcome. I'm awake. I'm here. I don't know if Adam's awake. He didn't sound like he was too awake. I know Janejira is not awake, but Broccoli's here. Everybody make some noise for our co-host, Janejira, everybody.
That's me.
And I think you were telling Adam.
Yay!
You were telling Adam before I got on here that you're not really sure. You don't think he's a.
What?
You don't think Broccoli is a morning person, do you?
No, well, no, I'm the one that's not a morning person. I'm pretty sure Broccoli's up, like, ready to go and do productive things in the day.
Well, you're like, I'm sure he is. I'm just not. That makes sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. All right, and what's you're not a morning person? Why not? What's the problem? What, you just can't get your shit together, or what?
Well, I have insomnia, so I suffer the consequences in the morning. Woohoo!
Oh, you have insomnia. Whatever. Some people could just call that being a procrastinator, like myself. Hey, I didn't go to bed till 5:30 either, so no boo hoos for you. Okay. Next today we
That's
got
a you
our.
problem.
Hey, fuck you, buddy. All right, don't you go there. All right. It's called being old, and like if you don't go to bed when you're tired, you stay up for the rest of the night. And then our guest tonight, we've got a Canadian and a comedian. It's not a joke.
Yay!
Give it up for Adam Schwartz, everybody.
Hi
Yay!
everyone, how's it going? I'm so excited to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, Adam. Where are you from? What do you do?
I'm a STEM comedian in Winnipeg. I've been doing comedy for like the last 10 years. Uh, yeah, I'm currently running a show at the Winnipeg Fringe called Neuro Hilarity, where it's going to be featuring people, neurodiverse people, trans, non-binary, BIPOC, and I'm super excited for it.
That's what I'm talking about. It sounds like you're knocking down some doors and some barriers. Tell us about the name of your show again, because I didn't quite catch it. So I know if I didn't hear it, some of our listeners may not either. What's the name of the show again?
Neuro Hilarity.
Neo, right?
Neuro, as in like neurodiverse.
Neuro. Okay. I'm deaf in one ear, so maybe it's just me. I was like, is he saying neo like new comedy or what? And what out of Winnipeg? Are you born and raised out of Winnipeg or
I was born in South Africa, and then I moved here when I was 3.
oh boy. Are you white South African or are you black South African, Mass?
I'm white South African.
Okay. Okay. I just ask because a lot of people don't know there's a big difference. And African, not all Africans are black. So here's a prime example, right?
Mhm.
So what made you get into comedy, big guy?
Uh, I've always been super awkward and weird, and so people were laughing in school, and I wasn't sure whether. And being autistic, I was like, I'm not sure if they're laughing with me or at me, and I was like, I'll take it, and then I'll try to make a career out of it.
How long have you been doing comedy?
For about 10 years.
10 years. Oh shit.
Mm.
Ooh.
That's a lot longer than I've been doing it. I've only been doing it coming up on 4 in like 3 or 4 weeks. Well, let me ask you. I know.
But American years are a lot longer than Canadian years in comedy, considering that there's so many more opportunities out there. Like a Canadian a week is like, or at least in Winnipeg, it's like 2 shows or like 2 open mics. Well, in a lot of big cities in the States, it's like comedy every single night.
We'll get there in a second. You're jumping the gun, but hey, I like it. I tell. So I guess the biggest thing I would say to that is a lot of people talk about doing comedy, right? And they always ask me like, "What's your recommendation? How do you get better?" And I tell people the first thing is you got to go to different places and do comedy. Because the thing is, like you're saying, is there's only 2 or 3 open mics in Winnipeg, but you can't go every week to Winnipeg and do comedy, can you?
I am in Winnipeg, so
Well, I don't mean like that, but if you go to the same open mic, only those 2 shows, you've went to more places than that in the last 10 years, I guess would be my bigger question.
yeah, I've gone to other places and traveled those comedy, but yeah.
Okay. Well, let's ask. We are autastic artists. Obviously, you've been diagnosed with autism. How old were you when you were officially diagnosed? It sounds like you knew when you were in high school already. So, how old were you when you found out you were Asperger's?
Uh, so I was one of the people who got diagnosed early. Uh, they always knew there was something a little bit off about me. They're like, that's one weird kid. But I only got official diagnosis when I was 12. That they were like, oh, it's autism.
And what led to that diagnosis? Was it just bad behavior in school? Was it a social issue, or were they just like you said, you're just a weird kid, so your parents were trying to figure out what was going on?
Yeah, so I had a lot of troubles in school, and I had the typical poor sensory trouble with poor hand-eye coordination and stuff. So it's in children's rehab pretty right early on. The advantage of coming from a white middle class family is that obviously that they've got too much money to spend, and so they were like, "Hey, this kid's weird and has some trouble. Let's put him in rehab and spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to improve his life." And then after being in children's rehab so long, they were like, "Okay, it's probably autism."
Damn, that's fucked up. Have you ever heard of children's rehab, Janejira? Have you ever heard of
No, I
this?
was like, what is that?
Is this must be some Canadian shit, right? Because we don't we got a lot of rich white people in Seattle. They didn't call it rehab. You know what I mean? Like you go to
Well,
rehab in elementary school, you're a junkie. Shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's a
yeah, it wasn't that kind of rehab. It was more rehabilitation therapist where it was so there weren't a bunch of junkies hanging around. It was more of people with disabilities and more of let's help someone with their fine sensor motor skills, or let's get them to do stuff like go on work on their holding a pencil, and more people with extreme disabilities like cerebral palsy. Then that guy's washed out.
well, I guess for me it's different because I don't know when Jane Jiro, I don't know if we've ever interviewed you. We need to do you, but when were you diagnosed, Jane?
I like my dad wanted me to get diagnosed earlier, but we didn't. So I waited all the way until I was like 18 or 19. And then when I got my diagnosis, they're like, you're just quirky because your backpack is pink. And I'm like, that's not a diagnosis. That's an opinion. Get out of here.
You sound
But I
like
checked all the
black.
boxes for ADHD though.
You
And they were
sound
like, you
like
probably just have ADHD.
you sound like black parents. You're gay. I knew that. You had a pink backpack. You know what I mean? It makes sense. You always like to be, dressy. That
Yeah.
no,
You're
that's not
always
the
weird. We know.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't know. We could all tell us.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say anything? No.
I know, right?
I guess the one for me, and I've talked about this a couple different times. So I grew up going to portable classes from sixth grade to sixth grade, first grade. I mean, kindergarten, first grade, third, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth. I went to portable classes like my whole life. and we didn't call it rehab, but it was the same thing. The kids that couldn't, and let me ask you could pass your classes at this time, right, Adam?
Yeah.
So it's not like, go ahead.
But I've always in like high school and in I had like a note taker because I couldn't keep up with the notes quickly enough, and I had extra time for writing tests. And I couldn't even make a paper airplane in elementary school. So and I was lucky that there was another autistic child in my elementary school and my high school in my classes. So I always had the TA teaching assistant there to help with everything, like the fine motor skills and stuff.
Well, and that's what I talk to some people about is I think the best part about your diagnosis, depending on where you're at on the spectrum, is it gets you the help you need, right? Like it wasn't that you couldn't do the work, it's that you needed some time to do the work, right? I'm the other way around. I do a test in 5 minutes. It takes most people an hour and a half, and I just got to sit there and wait. And I'm not good at waiting. My social issues come out if I got to wait too long, right? Well, let me ask you. You said you got diagnosed at 12. Was school before 12? Like, was there a night and day difference when you got? Because it sounds like you were given an IEP like immediately, right? Given concessions and all that.
I was given concessions, but it wasn't any different because I was doing the regular. There was no special classes or anything. It was just additional stuff instead of being in a separate class.
What do you mean? So you didn't? They had you in the same class. So I guess how old are you, Mass Adam?
I'm 36 now.
36. Okay, so you're close. So you had your own, I guess, one-on-one para-educator then is what they were giving you instead of a special class?
Not my one-on-one. There was I was in the regular class,
Yeah.
and then there was a teaching assistant that floated around helping me and the other kid. They were assigned to the other kid because the other person had more challenges than I did. So they were already in the room, but they wanted to give the other kid some room so that he could instead of just hovering over him. So then they'd come over and help me as well. But it wasn't as if I had my own one-on-one TA or so I had extra help. But it was still the regular class and still the regular activities and everything, just an extra.
I get all that. I mean, and I guess I'm using terminology to you that may be a little different, but in the education world, that's one-on-one para. Now, you may not be getting them the whole time one-on-one. Don't get me wrong. Right? I think that's where you're like, well, I didn't get them all the time. Well, no, you don't get them all the time. The idea is that they're available to give one-on-one help. Sounds like you had to share yours because there's another guy in the room who may needed a little bit more attention than you, right? So you had a 1-on-2 pair. He's like, I didn't get them all to myself, and I'm jealous of it. All right. Well, let me ask you. You said has autism helped with your comedy, or?
A lot of my comedy lately has been focused on my autism. Like I've got most of my jokes are about being the autistic experience. Like here's a joke that I tell pretty much every single set. When I was 12, my mom called me in the kitchen and said, I've got some bad news. And I said, what? We're out of Pop-Tarts? And she said, no, honey, you've got autism. And I thought for a second, thank God. So does that mean we still have Pop-Tarts?
Yes, priorities.
And about how being autistic, I thought, but mom, we're Jewish. I thought being autistic meant I was predisposed to being an autist. So I said, but mom, we're Jewish. Shouldn't I be a doctor or a lawyer, not an autist? And so a lot of my jokes are focused on my autistic experience, challenges getting a job, challenges dating, etc. And yeah, I also do a lot of presentations for like community groups and classes.
You said you do a lot of, so you're doing a lot of what would you call it? Spokesman work? Like, are you doing workshops? Are you doing motivational speaking? Which one are you focusing more on, or is it just more like
No, I
TED
don't really do
Talks?
motivational speaking, but I do presentations about talking in groups, and I also go to elementary schools and do a presentation on inclusion and autism based on my 2 children's books. So I read the book and then I'll be like, so see, differences in some situations could be advantages, and we all want the same things, which is to belong and to have friends and to be able to have work that's meaningful and makes a difference, and then pretty much just talk about the characters of autism.
And let me ask you, do you always read the same book? So you have a flat line, or are you reading a different book when you do these shows, or how do you do it?
I've got 2 kids' books. Well, I actually have 3, but one's just a PDF on my website, adamschwartzcomedy.com, which was an autistic guide to COVID. And then I've got Anna, the substitute teacher, about a young autistic girl who has to save her class from the Medusa-like substitute teacher because she doesn't make eye contact. And then I've got a book about a boy with sensory issues who has to go to the family barbecue called Jonathan and the Big Barbecue.
This Jonathan must be black, because every black kid's got to go to a barbecue. You know how it works, right? Like I had that joke the other day with one of my white patrons in my show is married to an Indian woman, and I was giving him a hard time. I was like, you can't say she's brown at the barbecue. He's like, no, it's a cookout. I was like, I'll tell you again, I'm trying to give you a lesson here. It's called a barbecue. So let me see. You said you do these children's books. What inspired you to write a children's book? I mean, you're a published author. Maybe
self-published, but
it's not published.
That still counts.
I said self-published, but so yeah, I was just trying to reach a different audience with the message of autism is a difference, not a disability, and about how how there's some differences can be strengths.
You're right there. I mean, my thing is, a lot of people ask me or tell me, and I'm pretty sure Jane hears this sometimes, you're not autistic. You seem normal. And I try to remind people all the time that this is a spectrum for one, and then how we're normal compared to other people maybe totally different depending on my situation. Because I know for a damn fact, if you see me pissed off or you see me emotionally upset and I start fidgeting and I can't talk and I'm pacing, a lot of people, oh, fuck, yeah, he's autistic. But I've gotten so well at masking or doing whatever it is to be successful. And like you, I found a way to be a comedian, but I was a smart ass. I'm a little bigger than you are, I'm pretty sure, Adam. So I've been like 6 foot, 140 pounds my whole life. Yeah. So the whole, like you were talking about, well, I wasn't that coordinated. I couldn't help it. Once I figured out how to run, I was fucking fast. I was a foot taller than everybody, right? It's not hard to play basketball when you're 7 inches taller than everybody. Right? And so I think I got to a point where some people, and then like I'm glad you identified very early, being a middle-class white person, my family had money to throw at my problems. So when they thought I was weird, let's get to the bottom of this. Instead of some of these other people like Jane and myself, or some of these other situations where shit, you just got to make it through class. You better figure this shit out or we're just going to pass you along. I think the scary one is my wife's and I called her my wife. Oh shit. My girlfriend. Right? Freudian slip, right? Her son lives in Cupertino. And down there is where Apple's at, right? And so they don't even fail kids. Because if they fail kids, it brings down their averages. So they just push them along, right? And they pass them. And so for these new kids, there's 2 problems. You have the ones that are just getting pushed along. And then they get IEPs now that say if they tried the test, they get a pass. It may, and I'm not, and I saw the way Jane looked at me. Don't downplay all IEPs. I'm not, but I know some of them because I've worked with the kids. They're just fucking with the fucking teacher. You know how to read. You should be able to read this fucking question. And I know sometimes it takes longer. Maybe you need to read it for you, but I don't know. I think at some point we were doing too little, and now maybe we're doing too much. I don't know. Am I digressing here, Jane? How do you feel? Jane's not saying shit.
Taking in all the information. I don't know. I think it's like different for everybody. Like my struggles in school is that like I was the quiet kid, so they were automatically like, "Oh my God, you're such a good kid." It's like, no, I'm not quiet because I'm choosing to be. I'm quiet because I don't know how to communicate anything. And then I've seen people that do like speak their mind and then they get in trouble. So I'm gonna not do that. And then I get rewarded for doing that. And then I have anxiety later and it's like, I wonder why that happened.
Yeah, the autistic experience for women tends to be very different because of the way just how we're very socialized in our society. With, I mean, there's much more gray area now in the last 10 years, but before it was you're either pink or you're blue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it's a lot harder for a woman to get a diagnosis, and the whole experience is very different. And just the challenges that they face is different. Because you have to remember that autism affects people in all walks of life, but so does the everything other factor, like what's the word that I'm looking for, but like so there's some people with a bit African American or
other demographics are affected differently.
Demographics, all of that affects your experiences and how autism shows and everything, the whole life. And yeah, no.
Well, that's the thing. I talked about this one day with Janejira, and I think who was it? We had Emmanuel on here. I think Emmanuel's watching. What's up, buddy? How you doing, Mr. Trainer? But being mixed, we already have to mask.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're mixed, you have to mask. Being a black kid sometimes when you're with your black friends, yo, what's up? How y'all doing? I'm cool. I know it's hip. You know what I mean? Let me sag my pants a little bit. Let me do the things that make me culturally acceptable, so I'm not getting picked on and dragged down. And then when you get around your white friends, you do the same thing. Oh shit, let me pull all that stuff back in. Let me take down my accent a little bit. Let me enunciate everything. Let me try not to use the hippity hop slang. Let me not say psych and yo, what's up, brother? And I definitely can't say the N word anymore because I'm around.
Let me take the seasoning off my food for you.
Yeah. Can you also? I don't want any Johnnies today. I don't want any Lowrys. I just want plain potatoes, no salt. And don't definitely use any garlic because you don't know what the fuck that is, right? And so I think depending on your situation, you know, I grew up, somebody was like, we talked about, I mask every day. I had to learn how to mask culturally. I had to learn how to mask socially. And then I had to learn how to mask actually academically because I was a jock. And so I didn't want people knowing I was super smart. And then there were times where people thought I was cheating. I'd get a new teacher and they, oh, he's cheating. How'd you do so well? And the whole class would be, he's the smartest kid in here. And they, what? I know you're the substitute, but he's the smart kid. He's not the dumb kid. And so I think depending on what your situation was or your background, right? The way you're dealing with it and translating it. And I'm glad you brought up there's no longer just pink and blue. There's purple and turquoise and fucking aquamarine, right? One of the things we always bring up on here is there's a higher propensity for neurodivergent people to be LBGTQ plus.
Yes. And like being in the closet and masking, that's the same thing.
Bingo, right? And then I talked to somebody else about it. I was like, well, it's real simple. We don't have social cues. So me, you, and Jane are all hanging out as we grow up. And I fall in love with you as much as I fall in love with Jane. I'm willing to date Adam or Jane because I love them.
The truth is, sexuality is often socialized, and when you're autistic and you have to challenge, and everything is weird, you can't take anything for granted. Then obviously you're questioning everything, including why we have to have these boxes.
Oh my
That's
God,
what I was
growing up,
talking
I
about.
had to like fight the boxes so much because my mom would just shove this idea down my throat that like a lady doesn't do this and this and this and this and this. And like these are things that only men do and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, I don't fit in these boxes, so am I broken? Like, what's the problem here? I don't get it. And then that's what later I like realized that I'm gender fluid, and then but someone explained that to me and I was like, oh, that's why I don't fit in any boxes. You can't put water in a box. It doesn't work that way.
You the girl or you gay? That's what your mom said. You a girl or you gay? Which one is it? You a girl or you gay? Right? Like,
I tried to be a boy.
I know birth a boy. I birth a girl. You not
Which is
gay.
ironic because my parents did want a son, and it's like, well, you did get one, just not in the way you thought.
Mom, got a surprise. You know how you said you always wanted that boy? Bitch, you got him.
I'm so
Surprise.
handsome.
Oh God, I think the best part on this show is most of our guests are not you, Adam. What I mean by that is most of our guests are not white males, right? And the funny part for me is you're African. You're not African to me. I'm gonna let you know that. It's not an attack. That's why I had to ask you. Do you consider yourself? Are you white African? Are you black? Oh, you're white African. Okay, at least you didn't start with that. I'm Canadian African. No, fuck, you're not. You're white. Fucking yeah. You should do a bit about that. You should go up there and be like, "Yeah, I'm Canadian African." And everybody's just, well, South African. Okay, I'm British. That's really what I. All right, but most of our guests have been women or people of minority, and our first guest who's been on here twice is like, I guess you could say she's Juliana's spirit animal on the other side of the country, right? Because Janejira and Juliana are kind of twins because they're both non-binary, right? And they're both Asian and from your Thai, if I remember correctly.
Thailand.
Yeah, see, I got it right. I remember.
I'm right next door.
Right? And right? And she's from Malaysia, right? And so they're both countries that are very, if I remember correctly, I don't think there is, Malaysia is Islam, right? And Thai has some, but they're not really like advanced on any of this shit, right? And so like Juliana's this small time comedian, but she got put on some what was it, some board for like trans rights in Malaysia. And I'm like, how does this happen? And like, well, they just now said people can be trans. And I'm like, well, we've known that for years. We just changed their name, right? And so it's weird to hear. And I guess not weird, but I want to commend you, Adam. I need to hear a little dun-dun-dun. Where's my sound effects, fucker? Because you identify some of these things and know these things that these women and people of color identify that, fuck, it's not the same for everybody. You know what I mean? And you were this person right here, Adam. 20 years ago, if we asked what an adult with autism looked like, it was going to be you, right? And now if you ask us what a person with autism looks like, guess what? It could be me too. And I think that's the biggest thing I think people got to understand is that this
depends on if you ask the media or if you ask, because the chances are they'll still show me, because when you look at all the representation, there's only like one or two BIPOC autistic characters.
Yeah.
They default to Sheldon. Like even when they were doing my diagnosis, they're like, okay, some of these questions are, more for boys, but I'm going to ask these anyway. And then the answer's no. And they're like, you don't seem very autistic then. It's like, bruh, the questions were not designed for me.
And I remember Juliana was like, growing up culturally, like the signs for autism are like, you don't talk, you're quiet, you're not social, you don't respond.
But that's just being Asian.
Yeah, that's being an Asian girl in Asian culture. Shut up, do as you're told, be submissive, and be seen, not heard, right? And so depending on what culture you're from, or what area you're from or what this whole idea of being autistic, that's just the regular thing if you're obedient and subservient, right? So it's a mind fuck out here. Well, let me ask you, you said you got a website. What's your website again so everybody can find you, see where you're at?
It's just my name, Adam Schwartz, and then the word comedy.com.
Okay. And that's SCHWARTZ comedy.com. When I think of your name, I always think of Spaceballs. Have you ever seen Spaceballs?
Yeah.
May the Schwartz be with you. I'm a cheeseball. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. Well, let me ask you. You said you started comedy 10 years ago. What got you started? Like, what was it? And fuck all this shit. I'm a comedian, right? I can tell you what got me started. My mom died in less than a year from that. Fuck this. I'm going to give this shit a try. Yeah, I wanted to do it my whole life, but what was the reason why? What was that first night? What was the reason? How did it happen?
My first night was actually not in a comedy place. I was doing a voice and diction class because I thought I wanted to be an actor first. Even though, which is ridiculous because I can't remember lines or anything.
Same.
But so I was doing this class, voice and diction class, and I thought it was naturally funny, so I didn't prepare. And so then I shit the bed, and then I went to redeem myself. And
hold on 1 second. You used the term. What's shit the bed mean?
Oh, I bombed. I did not do well.
Now, did you do the whole time, or was it just crickets? Did you leave early? There's a couple of things that go into bombing.
Well,
That's always what I ask.
It was mostly just the class of like 5 people and like 1 or 2 guests.
Oh no.
And so it wasn't even in a comedy club. It was just in a room. So then I wanted to redeem myself. I did a comedy club, open mic thing, and the people were really receptive of me being a weirdo. And so I was like, so then I kept going back for the social aspects. Because I was like, I finally have some people to hang out with.
And let me ask you this. You said, I hate to do this to you. So do you think, and I'm not going to do it to you, I'm just going to ask you the question because I feel like a lot of people may be kind of not getting what I'm getting at. Do you feel like people are laughing at you because they think you're a character? Or do you think people are laughing at you because we're different? Which do you think there's a difference in that, or does it matter? Does it really matter to you either way?
I think lots of people were laughing because I'm weird and socially awkward, and that and so people who are socially awkward are generally funny. I mean, they made a whole career of it for Larry David, and Mr. Bean had a whole career out of just being socially awkward and being weird.
I get it. Hey, don't take
gotta own it.
Well, no, and that's what I'm getting at. I guess a lot of what I do is, in a lot of ways, autistic and Asperger's because I say what the fuck I'm feeling, and my comedy is very up in her face, and I cuss a lot. Well, I'm a big black guy. I blurt out what I want because nobody's been able to stop me from saying what I want. Does that make any sense? I've been big enough my whole life where if I want to say fuck you, guess what? I'm going to say fuck you. And so for me, my outbursts or my twerks or even like that, my voice inflection getting loud, that is my Asperger's. That is my tics. That is who I am. But I guess I've never thought about it that way. People are laughing at my Asperger's on a daily fucking basis. Fuck. Anyway.
The thing, because being so polar opposite in many ways, on being a white person who has no intonation in their voice and being so monotone and not angry outbursts with and very little swearing, it's more like, so there's some jobs that'd be great at, like air traffic control. I'm so monotone, no one can ever tell when I'm freaking out.
I'm glad you said that because we had Emmanuel on here, and Emmanuel's just like me, but a version just like you. So what I mean by that is we're both tall. I was like, I know I'm taller than Emmanuel. He's like, actually, he sent me a message. He said, I am 6'2" as well. And then I was fucking with him about his probably still a virgin. He's like, no, I lost my virginity a couple years ago. I paid for that. And I was, oh shit. He's like, I don't mind saying I paid for it on the show either. And it was funny because you're right. You get all types on the spectrum. And then Emmanuel's probably watching this going, hey, I like Adam. He's more like me. He seems a little calmer. And Emmanuel was actually talking like this the whole show. And he was very calm. And I was just, this is fucking creepy. But, right? But at the same point, I understood Emmanuel and Emmanuel understood me. I got on the show with you up. Me and Adam are opposites. We're similar, but we're opposites. He's going to understand everything I say and do. And I noticed during the show, you're like, he's not paying attention to OIM, but I've got to share this everywhere and comment on things. And I'm like, I should have told you earlier. It's going to seem like I'm not paying attention, but don't worry, I am. But these are all things that you notice about each other. We're all the same, but we still have our personalities. And I think that's the thing that people don't get is we all have our personalities, our quirkiness, but there's still this social disconnect and social issue for all of us. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I look like this and I'll get along, there's a ton of people that I just don't get along with. And most of them usually are nerds. When I get in a group of nerds, I am the outcast. I am so you're cool. Oh, you like to cuss? That makes you pretty fucking stupid, doesn't it? And it's like, no, it doesn't make me any dumber or any less. I just like to cuss. You know what? Fuck you. I can kick your ass. And then I'm the bad guy because now I'm mad and I said I wanted to kick their ass. Well, you asked for it. Adam's giving me that look like, yeah, I don't want to hang out with you. I'm good. Don't worry. As long as you're my friend, I don't pick on you. I protect you. Never mind. The Jane's like, don't listen to him. But let me ask
He's soft.
I'm really a teddy bear. It's just if it pisses me off.
You're gonna die.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get hurt around here, right? So what project you got going on now? What's your biggest thing you got going these days, Adam?
Other than my Fringe show, which is happening next week.
Hold on. Don't blow over that. Other than my Fringe show, what's the name of the show again?
Adam's Neuro Hilarity, which is part of the Neuro Hilarity brand. So it'll be like 40 different comedians who are either neurodiverse, trans, non-binary, or BIPOC, doing time, and a lot of them are first timers who've never done Fringe before. Yeah.
I guess now that I'm thinking about it, I'm in the group called Neuro Hilarity. I don't know how I got in there. I don't know when it changed. Did you guys have a different name for the group before that? Or was
Nope.
I just somehow got in it. Okay. No worries. I just I've been in it and oh God. And the first thing I see is their flyer looks just like one of ours. So they got the O positive show, right? Does that sound correct? Am I on the right looking thing? And you said you can buy tickets for the Fringe.
Yep.
Winnipeg Fringe Theater for Adam's Neuro Hilarity. Is that the show? Am I getting this correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's how I got you. That's how I just see now. It says you invited me to this group. That's like I was wondering how I got there. What the hell? And it's in Winnipeg. How many comedy clubs do you guys have in Winnipeg?
Actual comedy clubs, which are different than just bars that do comedy.
I mean, we could bust balls like that. How many spots can you do comedy at in Winnipeg? How about not just all together?
About 5 or 6 places.
Total shit.
Mm-hmm.
And are you doing them all? Are you getting on the road? Or are you just staying in Winnipeg at the moment?
Yeah. So I just came back from a month ago from some shows in Ontario, which is a bigger province or in Canada.
Remember, we're American and
So it
egotistical.
would be the equivalent of a state.
Yeah. What's a province? It's one of the other slices. The little
We all
speck-
failed geography.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to read, man. Come on, don't let this blackness fool you, right? Well, you said you've been trying to do comedy. You've done it for 2 years. Have you gone on like a road tour? Have you came to the States yet, or you just been staying in Canada?
I've been just doing comedy in Canada.
Canada. Okay. Did the pandemic help you? Did you start doing any of the Zoom comedies or anything over the pandemic,
Yeah,
or did you avoid all that?
So the O Comedy Tour, the youngest looking guy, Michael McCurry, is already been doing a lot of corporate gigs, him and his dad. So he started this autistic comedy group, and the dad already had all these contacts for booking his corporate gigs. So the pandemic was probably my most lucrative comedy year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, that's a way to take advantage of the situation. You know what's funny? You know who else could say that? Guy you're talking to. I went to Boise 7 times over the pandemic, especially in the first year. We did 11 shows out there. Like we expanded the most shit. We just started the podcast during the pandemic. I found the pandemic for autistic people was actually good.
I started my small business.
Right?
What's your small business? Do you sell dinosaurs?
I wish.
BDSM,
I do stickers and prints and stuff.
Oh, cool.
She does posters too. She's not doing them too fast these days. Where's my sound effect? Dun, dun, dun. She's like, no, I'm gonna laugh at that. That didn't scare me, you asshole. You're not the boss of me. My white male side coming out telling me I need my fucking posters, Jane. I'm gonna publicly shame you if I don't get my damn posters, right?
Okay, Darren.
Whoa! Hold on, Wayne, right? Call me Wayne. So, who was your favorite comedian growing up? Then, I mean, you said you've liked comedy for a long time. You've always been funny. Who do you kind of market?
Yeah, I didn't really watch that much comedy growing up. I didn't really watch stand comedy specials or go to live comedy until I was an adult. What I watched was SNL, and I would say it was a whole cast of Adam Sandler, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler cast generation.
No BIPOCs?
I don't know who was BIPOC on that show.
There weren't any. Now you see my point. You could have said me. You know what's funny? Do you know who's the longest tenured person on SNL right now?
Who?
The black guy from Key and what's his name? I don't even know what's
Keegan?
talking. Yes, he is the longest tenured person on SNL right now. Everybody else came after him, which is kind of crazy because nobody gives him his props, and he's kind of all right. And the only thing they know him for is his Steve Harvey skits, right?
No one really actually stays on SNL very long. It seems like it's a stepping stone for most people who are on there like 1 or 2 years, and then they off making movies. Super weird. Larry David was on SNL, the writer, couldn't get any sketches made. Got one eventually made in like the worst hour, and then went on to create Seinfeld.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look at one of the best comedians ever, black, white, or anything, was Eddie Murphy. And he carried the show for what, like 6 or 7 years? And he went on to build a fucking empire. And for people who don't know, I think Adam Sandler is another one who could say he carried the show for a while. But what did Adam Sandler, what is it, Big Daddy Productions, right? And he's done.
The funniest person in that time was Chris Farley, who died like 2 years later.
We can agree to disagree. You say potato, I say potato. A lot of people would say the same with what was it, Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell's another guy. Elf, Bad Santa, or not Bad Santa, but all this stuff Will Ferrell's done is it started off his springboarding, right? Well, now we're gonna get to the potato chip enthusiasts.
Yes!
Oh, fuck.
It is
Go
time
ahead.
for the best part
Fuck you.
of the show.
Fuck you.
Everybody's favorite segment, the lightning round. So we get to ask you 3 really silly fun questions and then 3 deeper philosophical, more autistic diagnosis questions. The fun questions are better.
But the problem with
Okay.
being autistic is you always take life questions way too seriously anyway.
I know,
You're
that's
like,
me all the time.
Oh God, you gotta understand. One of the first times they're like, "So where's your favorite vacation?" They're like, "So summer vacation, winter." Fuck it, give us both. Just answer the fucking question. No.
But am I going by myself?
Yeah.
Do
Do I get to? Do I have to fly
Do
there?
I get
or
to
drive?
study?
If it's a cruise, because like I'd really
Is
like
it
to
multiple
see all- You know what?
choice?
Fuck you and these questions. We're not doing them anymore. No, sorry. Go ahead. Bitch.
Okay, I'm gonna start with the most important one. Shake it up a little. What is your favorite dinosaur?
Probably pterodactyl.
Nice, I like those.
That's a
They're-
fucking bird. It's not a dinosaur. You dick. No, I'm just fucking-
But T-Rex is now his descendants are now the average bird.
Yeah,
Yes,
don't fuck
yes.
with chickens. Chickens are vicious.
I'll ask a
So
serious
they're all
que-
birds.
I'll ask a
I do
serious
love
question.
birds.
If you could be a normie, would you be?
What does that even mean? And at this point, what does that even include? Because I mean, if someone was just like, "Oh, right, oh, so all your autistic qualities are gone," okay, but I don't have the same socialization. I don't have the same answers to the questions. Do I wish that I had some normie features in my life, like being better with women? Yes, I do. But
I feel like that's just a skill that we all suffer from.
I love the way he blamed it on his autism, because you know what? I think every guy in the world would be like, you know, I'd like to be better with women, you know. So I don't know if that's a autistic answer, right? And if you talk to Emmanuel, he's great with women. It's transactional. Sometimes he pays for it, sometimes he doesn't. They leave. When I gave him a hard time about not getting laid earlier, he was like, "Well, I don't have any children that I don't get to see." And I was like, "Oh, you're an asshole." Touche, fucker. Well, I have 5 kids I don't see. You're a son of a bitch. I heard what you said. You're a dick. But he had a point, right? Like, do you have kids, Adam?
No.
Have you
I
ever
do
been
not.
married?
No.
So, I mean, at least you haven't been divorced. You're not paying child support. You don't have kids you don't see. So, did you ever think about that?
Yeah, but I haven't ever really had a relationship like Emmanuel. The only time I've had sex so far was paid. So,
Jesus Christ. You motherfuckers don't mind saying it, too. You guys are just like, yeah, I paid for it. I don't mind. You're
I thought I was going to boost my confidence, and then I started getting better with women, but so far there's been no results. But I was like, I'm going to do it this one time and get super confident then, and everything will change around.
No, do you mind if we talk about this for a second? Because you brought it up. You said you hoped to boost it, like I'm going to get laid, lose my virginity, and everything's going to get better. And that didn't happen?
Yeah. No, I'm still as equally awkward and uncomfortable around women.
If not worse, because you're like, I know what I want now. I know what's behind that wrapper. I want some caramel, bitch. Give me some chocolate. I want some sweets. Never mind.
No, because I think that we always knew, even as a virgin, you know what you want, and nothing really changes. It's all still the exact same.
It's all still the exact same. He's like, I can't get the wrapper off it. I still can't get the candy out the wrapper. Go ahead.
She gotta have a heartbeat. She gotta be interested in me. She gotta maybe not be a criminal, but you know, we'll make it work. That's fine. Who was it? One of my friends asked, like, when it comes to girls, what's your type? And I was like, as long as they like me back, that would be fantastic. That's
As
what
long
I
as
want.
they think it's consensual, right? We're good. Like, yeah.
Within my age range, preferably not a criminal, but you know, we make them work.
You're up next, Jane.
Yes. Okay. If you were a dessert, what kind of dessert would you be?
Creme brulee.
Ooh.
I don't know why.
Creme
That's
brulee?
just the first thing that popped in my head.
Do you like creme brulee?
Yeah.
What the fuck is creme brulee? Am I just
It's
poor?
just a white person thing.
Yeah.
White person. Did he just white? Did he? It's a white thing. I'm 60% white, Adam. Fuck you, buddy. All right. You racist bastard. If you couldn't tell, I'm part white too. Well, I'll ask you another.
Apparently, your chef or your dessert person wasn't white though, then, because
I'm not that white. I didn't have a chef or a dessert person. So that's where the 60% cuts off. You got to be like 75 or more to get one of those people. Shit, that's a new joke. Fuck.
or being like churros, they're European. They're these cinnamon things that you dip in chocolate.
Well, let me ask you, you said you bombed the first time. So I'll ask you a second question. What was the hardest bomb of your comedy career? Because you've been doing it 10 years. And I know like the worst bomb I think I ever had was I did a comedy competition too early in my career that I wasn't ready for. And the first set I stuttered, I said the wrong thing, I didn't set up my jokes. So what was the biggest bomb you ever had?
So it's weird to define a bomb. Like, is a bomb just people not laughing? Because I've definitely done shows where there were like 5 people in the audience and then it was just super awkward. I've also done less well than I would like in front of 300 people.
See, I'd go with the latter. Because I mean, I've been doing comedy long enough, like 5 people not laughing, who gives a fuck? Right? Maybe they're being unsocial, whatever. When you're in front of a big crowd and it just goes, that's the one that would hurt. You know what I mean?
It's worse when you see everyone do well and then you're the one person who didn't do well, versus, okay, there's a big crowd but they're not laughing at anything, because I've seen that's happened too.
Yeah, and I don't know which is worse. I think it's worse when you're the one person who isn't funny and the rest of the show kicks ass. And don't get me wrong, I've never completely bombed because there's always 5 black people at a show that are gonna like me, right? So I can always come off the stage and have the minorities be like, yes, thank you for not telling the white jokes we heard, the rape jokes and all the shit, everything else happens. But I've went to shows where I'm in Enumclaw or I'm in Puyallup and they're not gonna like me. But I've got to do these jokes for the 5 people in the room that are my demographic. And that is the hardest thing to do is no, I'm not going to be the funniest person tonight. I know that. And I'm going to be okay with that. I think that's the one that kicks you in the fucking teeth when you come out and everybody's, it was a good effort. And you're like, fuck, this wasn't my crowd. This wasn't going to work any way I did it, right?
And it's easy to be like, if no one's getting laughs, it's easy to be like, yeah, so it was a packed audience, but no one was wanting to laugh. The lights were on, and so people felt like they were too much in the spotlight to be able to laugh and think that everyone else would judge them for laughing at something. But
yeah, I had a show at a motorcycle club, my first 30, and somebody heard the recording and was like, oh, it didn't sound like it went too clout. And I was like, have you ever been to a comedy show at a motorcycle club? None of those guys laugh. It's more, ha, who? Nobody's gonna, you know what I mean? They're bravado guys. They can't just be like, ha.
They laugh inside.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm gonna ask another easy question because Jane doesn't get to stick me with all the hard ones. Fuck her. If you could take a vacation anywhere in the world, where would you go?
by myself? Are we talking about winter?
Oh, you son of a bitch. I'm gonna
summer?
stab you, Adam. We went over this, you son of a bitch. Your choice.
It's around, if I went to Cuba, I would be surrounded by a bunch of bikini models. Am I going back with my parents? Then a bunch of 80-year-old.
He still can't complete the assignment. He's like, I'm with everybody else. You want to go get laid. We're gonna send you to Thailand, put you on a beach. You don't know. You get little girl, boy, girl. Don't matter. Just get whatever you can while you're there, right? That don't work for me either. You got the last question, Janejira. What you got?
What is your favorite part about working on your books?
Being done.
Mood. I feel that.
I want you guys to explain this for everybody. Why is it being done is the best part?
Because actually trying to write something that is complete misery, where you're questioning every single word and being like, is that shit? Is it good? Is anyone gonna understand what I'm saying? I mean, stand-up comedy is so visceral. You say a joke and it's done, but you don't really have time to dissect every single word and be like, what if I use this thesaurus and use a different word for this? But what if? And there's so much self-doubt and self-thinking because of the solitary pursuit of it, that the best part is always being done and just being like, all right, it's finished.
Yeah, self-doubt comes with every single sentence. So once all the sentences are together, it's like, okay, the worst is over. We got through it. We made it through the storm.
I love writing and I hate writing.
Exactly. It's like so painful, but so rewarding. And we're like addicted to it, and it's hard to explain why. And then once it's done, it's like, this is why I do what I do.
Well, your turn. Do you have any? Did you think of a question you may have for us?
Why don't you sell broccolis? Why don't you just make a bunch of broccolis and sell them and make a bunch of other dinosaur lines?
I wish I knew how. I actually don't know how to make stuffed animals yet. I bought this one. But like, I was thinking about making stuffed animals. It's been on my to-do list. I just need to learn how to do the patterns and then make it all cute and then experiment with colors, and then it'll be done. I also need more time, but I'm too busy procrastinating on. I put the pro in procrastinate.
Shit, fucking mine. I'm gonna do something for you tomorrow, or maybe the day after. It's definitely gonna be the day after. It's
2
not,
years later, finished
right,
it.
it's not gonna be tomorrow. I can promise you that.
Well, make comic books about broccoli.
What?
You make comic books about broccoli?
Ooh, that would be a cute idea.
I think he wants 5% if you do. I think that's what he's getting at. He's like, I just brainstormed all these ideas.
Let's do a business deal.
Well, it's been great having you on. I ain't got to say it, but guess what? We did it. We made it another episode. It's been a whole hour.
Yeah.
Give or take a minute or two. You know, we try to keep these things within parameters. But give it up for Adam Schwartz, everybody!
Yeah.
About your show. It's called Adam's Neural Hilarity, correct?
Yep.
When is it?
July 13th to 24th.
Oh, so every day or just on the weekends?
Yeah, it probably doesn't matter since I imagine most of your audience is American. So they're like, where is Winnipeg?
Actually, he doesn't know.
He just lives in Narnia.
No, Adam. About 10% of my audience is Canadian. We have a lot of international clients and international people watching. I get like 15% of my people even from fucking Europe. So you might want to tell them exactly where in Winnipeg. We have some other comedians that may even watch this and want to come join your show. That's so. Where's it at?
Yeah, just join Neurolarity on Facebook, and all the information is there because it's got specific dates. But to be like, well, it's at 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the July 13th, but on the 15th, it's at 9 p.m. And then the 16th, it's at this time. So it would probably just be easier to.
Well, I put the link in the chat. So he said, I got a sporadic schedule is more what I think he's getting at. But thank you for coming. We'll make sure everybody takes a look at it. Give it up one more time for Adam Schwartz.
Yay!
Give it up for our co-host with. No, that's not Bondage Bear. That's Broccoli. I'm sorry. It's a little early. It's not BDSM Bear. Give it up for the potato chip enthusiast, Janejira Damron. And I've been your host, the most tired, hungover. Hey, I took off 7 layers to my elbow. Look at that. I had a whole elbow. Yeah. I'm still here though. I'm still
Our audio
here.
listeners don't need to have that described. It's gross.
Yeah, there's a hole in my elbow. Yeah, it was kind of there's flesh out of it. There's a little chunk that I pulled off, had on my finger like ground meat. It was gross. It was ground Dante. But hey, thank you for showing up. Hey, come back in an hour like Chuck Woolery. We'll be back in 2 and 2 doing Dating with Disabilities. Thank you for showing up today. Give it up for our guest, Adam Schwartz. Again, you can find him on adamschwartzcomedy.com. He's got a new show called Neural Hilarity, which is he hosts it. I've been paying attention. The Manitoba Theater for Young People. Haha. See, I do my job. First show is on the 13th. It says it's somewhere around 8:45. Doors open, shows at 9, something like that. So have a good time. If you're in Winnipeg, all my neurodivergent comedians, check out Adam. He's got something going in Canada. Go give him a holler. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys later today. Peace.